Alright, I want to say peace to everybody. Peace. Thank you everybody for tuning in. You now tuning into Moorish America. Created this to help raise awareness, to cover all events pertaining to Moorish Americans from a Moorish American perspective, unapologetic. And I mean, you know, nobody's really doing it like us. Not saying that as a knock to anyone else, just that that's the perspective we're coming from. That's the information, knowledge we're dealing with, and we're bringing clarity to issues. All right. So we're gonna speak on how Black, African American, Negro, colored, whatever they're calling us now, and how this all denotes to slavery. Okay, because you hear people saying all types of things, and we're gonna get this up and running real soon. First, I'm gonna play some music from some Moorish American artists. So go ahead and relax, enjoy this. Make sure you share the video, click like and share. Okay, and we're gonna get things started and bring clarity to this.
We need to talk.
So thank you everybody.
What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about us and what's going on between us.
Nothing. It's nothing going on.
What do you mean there's nothing going on? We're not communicating with each other. That's what's the problem right now.
The problem is every time I come home, you want to start some shit.
Nobody started anything, but you never want to talk. You never. Are you even trying? Do you even
I
care?
have one last damn word, but you know what? You don't even give a fuck about that, do you? All you care about is starting shit. That's what I'm talking about now. That's what I'm fucking out.
Windows.
You always leaving. That's what you
Welcome to
always
Talk
good at doing is walking out.
Yo, got my weight up and now I'm tipping the scale. I do this for the people praying and wishing I fell. For my brothers locked in the cell. Not to mention they feel what I'm saying, like what I'm spitting was written in braille. That's a good look, never scared, you look shook. People live by my verses like scriptures from the good book. The talent is heaven sent, the women they came and went. You just open up, me on the main event. God bless me with a flow, hotter than hell. Devil got jealous, either with us or against us. Pick a side is what they tell us. The hardest in the street, let them tell it. It's all good, but when the pressure on, I bet you we telling. Man, I'll take you out the game, I think you better on benches. The loudest one is the weakest, you do a lot for attention. F&E's, we don't deal with those, heart got colder. Front line when it's crunch time, tighten up soldier. That's my mindset, the diamond in the rough they didn't find yet. Blind leading a blind death, soon comes after. Let's prepare for the rapture.
You riding, I'm rolling. Yeah. I might be tripping, but this liquor got me open. Two-seater drop top, slow motion. I'm faded, still coasting. Switching lanes, sipping slow, still zoning. This shit's so crazy, man, I swear I'm so far gone. Yeah, so far gone.
Hotter than me, man. And still we have it. Black temples, white minds, and lost souls. Misguided teachers lead the blind through dark roads. I'm on the road of riches. My claim to fame is set in stone just like the hieroglyphics. The stars aligning in the skies to guide me through the lies. Surprise, I'm still alive. I strive to survive through all my pain. My God supplied me with the tools, and now I'm on a mission. Now I'm obliged to tell you niggas that your reign is over. And even though for now I'm underground like fallen soldiers, I'm aggressively chasing my destiny. No need to rescue me. I'm here to wake the game up like a couple Folgers. I thought I told you I'm the king, now we're my throne. Learn to use these blocks in the roads as stepping stones. I was overlooked, graduated the most hated flow. 24 karat gold, yours is gold plated. Now here's the difference, I'm the future, you a thing of the past. I refuse to sit and watch the sand drop in the hourglass. Watching these hours pass, I never meant to brag, but this rap shit, I got it in the bag. Look,
You riding, I'm rolling. I might be tripping, but this liquor got me open. Two-seater drop top, slow motion. I'm faded, still coasting. Switching lanes, sipping slow, still zoning. This shit's so crazy, man, I swear I'm so far gone.
look, not so happy endings, yeah.
So far gone.
Message from God. Yo. Now a wise man once told me, pay no attention to material things, and the happiness is your real trophy. I told that nigga, man, I'm grinding till my casket drop. How good you live depends on how much fucking cash you got. He told me love and money's a ticket to early death, and that my destiny was set before I took my first breath. And I can dig a piece of you and your fam. I must appreciate the conversation, fully understand no matter what, the world is always in the palm of my hands, and that the choices that we make can raise a boy to a man. Militant minded, disciplined, and well trained for any potential threat. You kicking it like Liu Kang, Wu-Tang, nigga, protect your neck before you caught slipping. You could be preaching the truth or practicing what you preach. Now that's a major difference. Official business with the lies, my witness. I'm speaking for any nigga that ain't got a pot to piss in. So just listen before you end up missing. To my haters, send them all the best of my wishes. So look,
if you riding, I'm rolling. I might be tripping, but this liquor got me open. 2-seater drop top, slow motion. I'm faded, still coasting. Switching lanes, sipping slow, still zoning. This shit's so crazy, man, I swear I'm so far gone. So far gone.
Hello?
Richard, the father, had eruption
Okay.
spleen and started bleeding. The test.
15-inch daughter. Islam, thank you everybody for tuning in. We're going to go ahead and get things started. Once again, I want to just thank everybody for clicking like and share. Okay? Alright. Hang on. Alright, looks like we were skipping a little bit, but hopefully you can hear me now. So, yeah. What we're speaking on today is how black, African American, how these labels, these terms denote to slavery. For people that are new to this, never really heard anything like this before, or who are wondering, you know, why are Moors always saying this, we're going to get into that. Okay, make sense of it. So yeah, like I said before, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in and for sharing this. And we're going to share some information so that you know this isn't just people just saying this. I'm not making this up. Other people that are trying to spread awareness aren't making this up. And we'll go ahead and make sense out of this And also, one of the reasons why I want to share it is because, like, online I've been sharing these articles from the Moors in America website. It's down here. You definitely want to check it out. Okay? Moors in America has plenty of information on there, but I've been sharing an article on there which is going in on this same topic. And also a video, another video on this channel which goes in on this topic. This video is going to be pretty short, but the other video on here goes in on this topic, makes a lot of sense of it, and is using demonstrations from actual law. So you have actual state laws and even federal laws, you know, national laws that show that basically the label that's been placed on us, because you have to think, we didn't come up with these labels. We didn't call ourselves Negroes. We didn't call ourselves African American. Alright, these were just placed on us, and they denote to slavery. 1 second. Hey, sweetheart. Sweetheart. Sweetheart, can you hear me? Hey, if you're on YouTube, can you help with the administration? It's some foolishness going on. You hear me? Alright. So I'm going to answer this foolish question up here, though. Very interested in knowing why you allow so-called white people to give definitions to Islam. Jason, 1 second. I'm not trying to jump around. Hopefully, if you follow me, just stick with me. We're going to take care of something real quick. Jason, Islam, would you be interested in being a moderator on here on YouTube? Just type yes if so, and I'll take care of that. And then I'm going to answer this question too. This person says, we is Kangs. Like, whenever you see something like that, you already know that's a troll. That's somebody that's straight coming with some foolishness. But I'm also going to answer that question too. Okay? And I'm also going to put my homie on here as an admin. When you see stuff like that, just you know, block them, man. Because they not bringing any light to the discussion. But I'm going to get on that. Okay, so once again, folks, and I'm sorry, bear with me. I apologize for that. But like I was saying, okay, we're going to let you know why the Moors are always talking about this. Okay, because I also shared the same information on Instagram, and there's thousands of people on there, people who don't know anything about Moorish science and nationality. So people are like, why are the Moors always saying this? Why are you acting like just if you start, you know, stop calling yourself black, like that's magically going to save you? And we're going to hit on that because there's more to it than that. It's not just about the whole label of black. All right, there's way more to it than that. But if you're on the outside looking in, you won't know. And I'm going to ask, baby, block that fool. All right. Come in here with this slave name. We is Kangs. We was Kangs. Like, dude, come on, man. We don't have any time for that foolishness. Okay? So I'm glad we have more people in here. Islam. First and foremost, we give praise, honors to the Father, the universal Allah. Okay? We give honors to the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, for bringing us our divine creed and teaching us to love instead of to hate. We give honors to the forerunner to the Prophet, Marcus Mosiah Garvey. We give honors to the first appointed Supreme Grand Sheikh of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, appointed a Supreme Grand Sheikh, okay, before he made the transition. And his name is Brother E. Millie Ill. Alright, and you can go and Google him, look him up if you've never heard of him. We give honors to the current Supreme Grand Sheikh, Brother D. Bailey Ill. We give honors to all members in leadership, Supreme Grand Council, the Grand Body. We give honors to all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Matter of fact, we go even further than that, and we give honors to everyone living by the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. How about that? We're not even worried about divisions and you in this group or that group or whatever with all that, right? We give honors to everybody living in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So what about that? So and that pretty much covers everyone. So we're gonna go ahead and get things started. Like I said, we're talking about these labels. what it means, how it denotes to slavery, why, and I'm going to give you actual examples. And then there's a link in the description for the article. You need to go there, you need to read that, you need to share it, because once you read it and see that this is real, or if you were looking for more proof, you're going to want to share that, okay, because it has the actual sources in there. Some people like to regurgitate what they hear others say, and they don't even share the sources with you so that you can take it further yourself, right? Because if I said, I'm going to be leaving something out. So the sources are there in the article. The article's in the description, okay? And everybody, bear with me 1 second because I'm actually adding somebody as a moderator right now. Then we're going to go into the screen share, and we're going to go ahead and get this popping and dig in. And like I said, you're going to want to share this. So, I mean, there's a lot of people watching now. Everybody clicks that share button, okay? Go ahead and take a little time and share it on Facebook or Twitter or whatever you mess with, okay? And trust me, it's not going to be a waste of your time or anyone else's. This is important. And I think everyone should know this, especially the Moors, because you're supposed to be up on this. You're supposed to know why, what's really going on, okay? Because you'll even hear other Moors who are saying no, black doesn't denote to slavery. And I've actually heard that before, and it's like, what are you talking about? That makes no sense, because it says right here, okay, that, the black, African, Negro, whatever, of African descent, it says it, in several different occasions, okay? So, but like I said, we're going to get into that, all right? And you'll see that this is not just my opinion on anything, all right? So, once again, everyone that's watching this, do not just watch, do share it. Okay, good. We got you in, Jason. All right, you in here as a moderator too. So yeah, man. I mean, if we see these fools coming up in here, going to get them out, because they're not bringing any light to the discussion at all, right? And we have to be vigilant on the foolishness, okay? Because people are here to learn. So while you guys are clicking share and sharing this in Facebook and everywhere else, we're going to get things rolling, okay? So just hang with me. Hang tight. We're not going anywhere. Alright? But try not to keep y'all up too late. But we are going to go in, okay? And I'm about to get this screen share up for you. Alright? So once again, after this video is over, make sure you go into the video description, click on the link. The link's already in there. And go to that article. It's on moorishinamerica.com website. Alright? So everything that we're talking about, you can go and back it up. Alright? There's really no way of coming against this. I mean, I've seen some people like pushing against it for some reason too. People trying to say stuff like, I'm gonna read some of the stuff from Instagram, but people, and I get where people are coming from. People think that this is like, in a people are oversimplifying it. Basically, a lot of the arguments, you have people who are doing what I've been through. The whole Black Power thing. They're proud, black and proud. Okay, I get that. And so one of the main arguments will be, well, why are you going off of their labels that they placed on us? Okay? And it's deeper than that, because these aren't just their labels that they placed on us. These labels have legal ramifications that carry weight. Alright? Alright? And we never called ourselves the black people. African Americans. We never called ourselves that. So continuing to go by a label that someone else placed on you, it doesn't connect you to your ancestors. Alright? It doesn't connect you to your greatness. And it carries no weight internationally or here. And then here, it places you at the bottom of the caste system. That legally, means that you are permanently at the bottom. There's no way around it. All right, but as the sister said in the chat, you've been conditioned to accept these labels, and so I get it. There's a fight, you know, against it, a fight to keep it. Even if you don't see it like that, you're fighting to keep the label that these people put on you. Colonizers. Let's just call it what it is. All right, the mind has been colonized. All right, so people are fighting it. And like, well, why are y'all trying to hold on to the labels? Well, it's a little deeper maybe than you think. Okay, they have legal ramifications for real, and we're gonna get into that. Waiting on my browser to come up so I could share this screen with you. But it's serious, it's real, and there's really no reason to hang on to it any longer. It really isn't. Okay, and you have to think at this day and time, like with the era that we're in now, you know, what happened in 2012? Our galaxy made its way around the gray sun at the center of the Milky Way. Okay, this happens every 25,000 years, so to speak. And when this was going on, we're going through or going over the sun or through the sun, you know, maybe not through it, but going, you know, over it in that vicinity. And all these photons, all these waves of energy coming up through our solar system, you know, and that's why we're entering into the new age. That's what the whole Mayan calendar was about. So there's a consciousness, you know, that's occurring right now, a rise in consciousness, a change in consciousness. Okay, so if you're not on that wave, you know, you need to get on that. All right, you can't keep holding on to this stuff from 30, 40, 50 years ago. Okay, and especially that was put on you by colonizers, people who were out of sync with all of that. All right, you gotta let that stuff go. It's time. Okay, and who wants to be behind the times? Seriously. All right. So hang on. All right, it's time to wake up. All right. Islam to everybody in here, and hopefully y'all are hitting that share button. Sorry, computer's going a little slow right now, but we're gonna do the screen share, and y'all can read along with me. Y'all can check this out, and then you could go and read this for yourself, and hopefully you will read and share this information with your family and friends, because this is not a joke. All right, this is definitely not a joke. I wouldn't play around with you like that. And the labels have been switched on us so often that it's almost like we have identity crisis, you know? A lot of people, especially people that are waking up or whatever. Man, people are claiming everything, right? One day you might be Ethiopian, next day you're claiming to be ancient Cometian, you know? And who knows, maybe all that is in you. But I'm just saying, you know? There's a lot going on. We're going to make sense of it, okay? And we're going to let you know why. Definitely don't need to roll with that label. And in light of everything that's going on, you have the 2020 census coming up. All right? You got some people fear-mongering online too, telling you things are going to be horrible. You need to know what's really going on. Especially right here and right now. Okay? Nationality is definitely the order of the day. And that's not just a saying, okay? It's so true, so real. All right? So, just hang tight with me. I'm glad that you're tuned in, but I'm also glad that you're clicking that share button. Like and share, all right? Okay, so you're waiting on me to get in and go into it, but I'm not going to go in until you click that share button. All right, I'm pulling up some articles to read to you and share with you, and I want everybody to share this before we go in, okay? Because this is going to be very important. All right, so we're going to make sense out of a whole lot of stuff, and probably do it in about 20-25 minutes. It's not going to take that long, okay? And pray Meditate, same thing. Well, actually, nah. Praying is let's see. Meditating is when you're quieting yourself. You're right, for the most part. Praying is when you're using your creative ability, okay, your creative power to achieve your goals, right? Okay, and they don't teach you how to pray, you know, in any of the religious institutions, right? Your energy, your emotion is your creative force, your energy and motion, right? You can use that to create your reality into the physical. Maybe we can go into that one of these days. But they definitely aren't teaching anybody how to pray up in here. You can heal yourself, you can do all that. But it's none of that stuff they teaching people in church. Alright. So I definitely have some stuff for you today. And yep, we're going to go ahead and go with what I got right here for you. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Hopefully everybody hit that share button. If you didn't, make sure you do it right now. We're going to go ahead and go in. I want everybody and their family and friends to see this video. This is very important, key information. Alright, no joke, no lie. We're going to wake some people up. Alright, and for everybody out there that's, you know, that's been on this for a while, you know, and your family don't understand why you claiming more, we about to make sense of that, okay? So where I'm at right now is moorishamerica.com. Alright, this article is in the description. So just click that link and go here, okay? And actually, I'm going to give you some more examples why we even doing this. Alright. Let's see. What else? Hang on a second. Okay. So, alright, first and foremost, okay, it's look, there's no self-hate in this. You know, some people really oversimplify it. You know, you got people that are saying the Moors were enslaving the blacks, you know, enslaving Africans. They, you know, they really dumbing it down. They think that we hate ourselves, and there's nothing like that. Okay, let's start off right off the bat. This is an example from the Negro Law of South Carolina, all right? And right here you can read where it says the status of the Negro, his rights and disabilities. Section 4, the term Negro is confined to slave Africans, okay, the ancient Berbers and their descendants. It does not embrace the free inhabitants of Africa such as the Egyptians, Moors, or the Negro Asiatics, such as the Lascars. United States Act of 1740, Section 4. Okay, so we're going to come back to this. If you're on Instagram, you need to follow Moors in America. Just click that button just so that you can see all of, you know, the information that we share. If you click that Linktree link, all our links are in there for the website, YouTube, everything. Because we're on Facebook and a whole bunch of other stuff too. But you definitely want to follow that. I wanted to share this because there's a lot of confusion out here, right? And this is something that you need to know, especially in light of what's going on. What are the things that's going on? This is an article from CNN. They shared an article that's like maybe like just a few days old. It's talking about the vanishing white American. Well, I think this one might be a little older than that, but it's not that old. Okay, so it's talking about how like in about 50% of the states, in the 50 states of the United States of America, they're saying that the white death rate outpaces the birth rate for the people they call white Americans. Okay? So more of them are dying than being born. Okay? And so in light of this, you know, you really have to come up out of the spell and the labels and things that they have placed upon you that denote to slavery. Okay, and this, I guess, caused a lot of pushback from people who really don't understand the knowledge and why I would share something that says black people are dead in the view of the law. Civiliter mortuus. Okay? Civilly dead, dead in the view of the law, the condition of one who has lost his civil rights and capacities. Okay, we're going to make sense out of this. Okay, and the reason I share this because the type of reactions you get, they're emotional. Just because you say black is a human property status, that doesn't make it factual, right? Show and prove, cite U.S. law, which is what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. That's why I'm sharing it, right? You want to see the law. Good. I'm glad that person said that, okay? All right? They used the word black in a negative way and demonized it to make us feel ashamed of our blackness. I get that, but it's even deeper than that, you know, because when Malcolm X went in on the term black, you know, which he did, you know, because supposedly the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wanted him to copy out the whole dictionary, you know, learn every word so that he would understand etymology and all that. Okay, and so he broke down the etymology of the word black and how everything associated with the word black was negative. Okay, and he was using that to point out how this term that they applied to us, you know, was negative in almost every way. And it's basically, he was pointing out what she said. It was make us feel ashamed. He didn't go in on how this was the term that was used to denationalize us. Okay? I don't know why. Maybe he didn't understand this or not. I don't know. Even though the Nation of Islam had roots in the Moorish Temple of America, they even used to wear fezzes with the star and a crescent on it, but we'll get on that, you know, maybe some other day. But anyway, these are the type of things you see. People are like, well, you know, they use that to make us feel bad. And then this person wrote a long, long message, you know, just saying like, you know, they do this just to make us feel bad. Like, we don't have to roll with that though, but it's deeper than that. And that's why we're going to talk about this today, okay? And seeing this from a lot of people, okay? You know, a lot of intelligent people too. We're not knocking anyone, man. You have questions, and we're going to answer that, okay? But waiting for this to load. But basically, you know, a lot of people are saying the same thing. They want to know why the Moors acting like, one of the things I was trying to show you, people are asking, like, why y'all acting like just if you get rid of this label, that's going to, like, magically save you. And there's way more to it than that, you know. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali was actually establishing businesses, you know, doing a lot more work. It's not just about removing the labels they placed on us, but we do need to define ourselves. That's just a portion of of the solution to the conditions we find ourselves in, right? Okay? So it's not dumbed down, it's real, but this is why you need to come on in and work with us to get things to correct this situation. Okay, but yeah, people want to know. You want to know what's going on, okay? So I'm glad everybody's tuning in. Alright? Please click like and share. Alright, so this is one example. The Negro Law of South Carolina. Okay? And this is the Act, United States Act from 1740. The author of this passage wasn't just some crazy person. He wasn't just some racist KKK, whatever, you know, type person. He was an elected official, lawmaker in the state of South Carolina, right? John Belton O'Neill. This was the person who wrote the Negro Law of South Carolina. The Negro Law, okay? He was a judge on the South Carolina Supreme Court, or the precursor to the present day Supreme Court in South Carolina, right? And then he was elected to serve as Chief Justice and President of the South Carolina Court of Appeals, okay? And that was the highest court in the state. So these are the type of people who are making these laws, okay? And if you ever have seen a book, it's called The Negro, a Beast or in the Image of God, you will understand why or how he's able to make these assertions, okay? Let's pull this up. Okay, so Negro, a beast or in the image of God. If you see this, you're going to think, oh, this is just some crazy racist mess, right? And a lot of times you'll see people just blow it off like that. Okay? Because it does look crazy. Even the image on the cover is crazy looking, right? This is like some caricature, you know, of what they call a black person, right? And when you read the book, it uses religion, Christianity, the Bible, to make the case for how the Negro is a subhuman type of beast, okay? And he doesn't deserve full rights and status privileges, you know, of a human, okay? You get conditional rights. And this book isn't just some obscure, crazy book. This is something that is actually found in law libraries all over the world, and especially in the United States, okay? In places like Harvard, all right? Harvard Law University, you will find this. And this was the precedence for making different acts, different laws that made the case. This made the case, and it was used, you know, as a basis for writing actual laws dealing with us, okay? And this isn't something you could just gloss over, like, well, that's just racist. No, no, it's deeper than that. This is real. And if you look at how it is for the black person nowadays, you have black people that, you know, men, and excuse my language, you know, females calling themselves bitch, right? Okay, but in this book, they actually, you know, when the male and female Negroes got pregnant, they're siren, you know, he's siren a puppy, you know, basically with the bitch, which is the female Negro, the negress. Okay, and this is how they talked about the Negro. All right, and we're actually carrying this on where we're in that Negro mentality. Okay, but deeper than that, it actually has legal implications that put you in subhuman status. But I'm not making this up. Negro, black, colored, right? Indian, African American, all of that stuff means slaves. You have a lot of people, they want to, you know, claim to be Native American now because we have indigenous aboriginal roots, or whatever you want to call it. We have indigenous roots to the land. You know, blood ties going back farther than anyone else, okay, that's been over here. All right? Okay, and this is real. All right? And if anyone's ever seen the SF 181, the status, basically, where they just explain different racial classifications, how they use this for the census and different things like that, you'll notice that black African American is the only status listed, the only, you know, group listed, okay, that has no origins in an original people. All right, white is a person having origins in any of the original peoples of Europe, Middle East, and North Africa. Alaskan Native or American Indian, person having origins in any of the original peoples of North and South America, including Central America. Asian, person having origins in any of the original peoples of the Southeast Asia, Far East, India, right? Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, person having origins in any of the original peoples of Hawaii, Guam, other Pacific Islands. But then when you go to black or African American, it says a person having origins in any of the black racial groups of Africa. Okay, and so this obviously is not, this a pattern, and it's not, you know, this isn't a coincidence, right? It's not a coincidence that black African American is the only group, you know, the only people that are listed here that's not connected to any of the original people of the world. Okay, white having origins in the original peoples of, look, Europe, Middle East, or North Africa. Okay, and that's how come this gentleman that immigrated here from Egypt, I believe in the 90s. He came over here and found out he was classified as white. He actually went through his own little thing, you know, because he's like, obviously he looked like us, maybe he's darker skinned than me, you know, got real curly, tight curls, you know, like nappy hair, and he's like saying, you know, why are you classifying me as white? All right, this is why. He had a nationality. Many Americans unknowingly pegged themselves into this slave status without realizing it when you're filling out the census. Okay? All right, and the census 2020 is coming up. Okay? They want to know who you are now. They're expanding the definitions for white and black. You have to explain who you are, where you come from. So it's really important that people know claiming black and African American is not going to do it anymore. Alright, these are things that were placed on us. We didn't come up with this at all. And it's not just something that you can just blow off, because just like the book that I just showed, The Negro Beast of the Image of God, these things were actually used as a precedent to make law. Okay? In several cases. Alright? So not only is there a mindset that we've taken on, you know, through conditioning, through colonization, but there's also a legal stance that you can't get around. Okay? And also, you're not connected to your ancestors. You're not connected to anyone. Alright? So it has nothing to do with self-hate. Alright? We have to determine who we are. We have to, you know, we can't allow someone else to create a label for us. We can't continue to go along with that. Right? And it's time to throw that stuff to the side. Right? So these aren't just memes. This isn't just, you know, some foolishness that we could just, you know, just continue to go along with, right? I'm going to go back to that Negro law, though. That's pretty, you know, damning in that right there. Just looking at that alone, you know, it's ridiculous. And if you understand that, why would you continue to go along with this? And this is just one example. However, this has happened in several occasions. Now I'm also going to share something else with you too, just so that you have an example of how this stuff goes down. Okay, so I read section 4, but I'm just going to go ahead and open this up. I don't know if you can see this, but here we go. Section 1, the Act of 1740 declares all Negroes and Indians, free Indians, in amity with this government, Negroes, mulattoes, mestizos, who are now free to be slaves, the offspring to follow the condition of the mother, and as such, slaves are chattel personnel. Okay? Negroes and Indians. Under this provision, it has been uniformly held that color is prima facie evidence that the party bearing the color of a Negro, mulatto, or mestizo is a slave. Okay? But the same prima facie result does not follow from the Indian color, which I'm going to make some sense out of that for you as well. And once again, you can see a lot of this information on the website. Okay, there's an article on here. There's also a video on here about what happened with the Montauk tribe in New York. Okay, so what this says is that basically, okay, it declares all Indians and Negroes to be slaves. And then, it's including everyone of color, because they went from Negro, and we're, just being called Negro for about 40, 50 years. And then they added the term colored as well, legally, so that, everything was being switched over to just Negro. You'll see colored. And that's why when you go back, you look at the signs from the Civil Rights era, it'll say colored only, colored drinking fountain, colored bathrooms, right? That was the actual term that they were calling us, and we were using it. You have the NAACP, National Association for the Advancement of what? Colored people. Okay? Colorable law. And so it declared all Negroes and Indians to be slaves, and it also includes everyone that's considered people of colors. It says Negroes, mulattoes, mestizos. Everyone who's free is declared to be a slave, and their offspring. And then it also says that their, skin tone is the evidence that they are bearing the color of a Negro. That's it. That's evidence that they're a slave. All right? But the same evidence, does not prove that they're Indian. And the reason it says that is because, and I'm going to get into that. Okay, when they came over here, this is what the indigenous looked like. This is what the indigenous look like. They look like us. Alright? And so they're putting this in law, saying that if you look like this, you're a slave. But if you look like this, you cannot be Indian. That's not evidence that you're Indian, even though everywhere, it was documented that the Indians had dark copper-colored skin, right? It was just a known fact. This was not even up for debate. The 1828 definition of Indian, I think from Webster's dictionary, gives it all away. And I mean, if you look at what's going on in 1828, what are they doing? This is when they're coming in doing the land grabs. This is when they're at war, literally at war with different tribes, right? And right there in that definition tells you what's going on. What's going on? They're doing a switcheroo. What's the 1828 Webster definition? American. A native of America, originally applied to the aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, right? But now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America, okay? And so this is what's going on. They're coming here, they're finding people who look like this. These are the Americans, they know it. They're calling them Moors, they're calling them Blackamoors, all right? But maybe we can hit on that a little bit later. And so this is an example. In 1910, the Montauk Indian tribe was declared extinct in the Supreme Court in New York, right? This is the Montauk tribe's royal family, whose last name was Pharaoh, by the way. There's a video on here that goes in on that. You definitely want to check that out and share it. You know, this is amazing. This meme, which is actually based off of real information, Walter Plecker did a lot of damage, okay, going in and redeclaring a whole bunch of, I'm going to say Native Americans right now, but a whole bunch of indigenous tribes as Negroes, okay, which, as you can see from this example, this is just one law, but this example shows that their color, their copper color, could not be used as evidence to show that they were Indians, even though we know that term Indian is not even, that's another label they placed on us, okay? All right? So automatically, this was the, you know, they made this the term for slavery. And so also, if you went under those terms, you were automatically a slave, okay? So there were 80 tribe members standing in the courtroom, Supreme Court in New York. And the Montauk Indian chief Wyandotte Farrow was there. Judge Abel Blackmar declared the Montauk Indians extinct. They took witnesses from the area. They were all of people that you would call Caucasian. Now they were all of European descent, and they all knew him. Everybody called him Old Chief or the King or the leader of the tribe. Everyone knew this. And they were the only ones carrying on the tribal traditions and everything, okay? The only ones with blood ties to leadership and the land rights, okay? They declared them extinct, and they let all of these, Europeans who wanted to get that land, come in and say, oh, no, I thought he was black. He's a Negro. And they declared the entire tribe extinct, even though they were standing there in the courtroom. Another example occurred, and this example I'm going to read to you is from Jack D. Forbes. Afro-Americans in the Far West is a handbook that he wrote for educators. Jack D. Forbes is pretty much the expert on Native Americans, okay? And I mean that, like, for real. He's the expert. I'm trying to think, where did he teach? Stanford, maybe, or Berkeley, California. Right, so there's an example that occurred in the Caribbean. It's perfect for you to have a good understanding of what was going on, okay? Because you have to place these things in the proper context. Now, this Negro law is from, it says the Act of 1740. All right, so around that same time, 1764. Okay, and these are not my words. This is all quoted from Jack D. Forbes' work. Okay. All right. What the English meant by the term Negro when they first began to use it is not clear. Certainly, it was not then synonymous with slave, as a great many persons so classified were free, both in England and in Virginia. Right? So he's saying, there were all these people who would have been classified as Negro who were free. Right? Did it mean an African or black person or any dark-skinned individual? Alright. Now I'm going to skip down to here. An example from the West Indies is especially illuminating. Listen to this. In 1764, William Young was sent to St. Vincent as a part of the British occupation of the land. Living on St. Vincent were about 3,000 black Caribs, or free Negroes, and about 100 red Caribs, or Indians. There were 3,000 black Caribs, black indigenous, okay, and about 100 red Caribs. These were the mixed race ones, and there was only 100 of them. Some 4,000 French and their slaves, according to Young. The British found it difficult to control the Caribs, and wars were fought with them in 1771 through 1772, and again during 1795 through 1796. Alright, so they're fighting. They're difficult to control because they're indigenous. This is their land. They know the land, and when you have something to fight for, you're not just going to give it up. Right? And they were the largest amount of people. So during the latter crisis, Young wrote an extremely anti-Carib tract designed to prove that the Caribs should be removed from St. Vincent. They were eventually defeated, and some 5,000 were shipped to an island near the coast of Honduras. Right? Young was so anxious to prove that the so-called black Caribs were not the true aborigines, but were in fact Negro colonists. Negro colonists, free Negroes, or Negro usurpers. This was important to him because he wanted to show that they had no bona fide land rights or aboriginal title. Remember, these are not my words. This is from Jack D. Forbes, the professor, expert on American Indian Studies from Berkeley, California. He wrote the books. I don't have the books in front of me, but I have them. He's the expert, right? Let me show y'all something. The expert. I don't know if you've ever seen this with these brothers on the cover. These three brothers on the cover, hopefully you can see that, were Peruvian noblemen. Okay? Alright. So, hopefully you stand with me. But what's going on? In 1764, William Young, this British dude, sent to St. Vincent Islands to break things up. You had the black Caribs, over 3,000 of them. Alright, they outnumber everyone. And they're British are fighting with them. They can't control them. It's their land. He's sent in to break things up. Alright, and as soon as he gets there, he goes on a tear to prove they're not the true aborigines, but they're Negro colonists, free Negroes. Right? Alright? It was so important to him to show they had no bona fide land rights or aboriginal title. These are not my words. For our purposes, the interesting point admitted by Young is that the so-called blacks, or Negroes, in his own words, were occasionally of tawny or mixed complexion because of American ancestry, and their customs, personal names, and language were those of the native Caribs. Their customs, personal names, and language were those of the native Caribs. Still further, Young admitted that they had repeatedly intermarried with American women. He constantly refers to them as Negroes nonetheless. So even if you're going off of the narrative that we all came from Africa, they still were carrying on the customs, personal names, and language. They were marrying with the American women, okay? And he's still trying to get them, well, he didn't try. He's still classifying them as Negroes, all right? So, I mean, you think about to this day, the names that we have that people are saying the ghetto, no one else has names like these. These are indigenous names. And in this case, they're carrying on the names, the customs, and the tradition. They're speaking the language, okay? And if you go all throughout, from all the way from Louisiana on throughout Central to South America, they're doing carnival, okay? And now I've even heard there's some pushback from some really extremely light-skinned people claiming to be Native Americans, claiming to have some fake outrage at the, you know, the people who are doing the carnival celebration, right? Talking about its cultural appropriation. We the only ones doing it. And they're scared because they see all of these copper skin tone people doing this stuff when and it's obvious to anyone. If you go to Trinidad anywhere, it's obvious these are the indigenous people. All right, it's obvious. It just is, and they're scared. They're scared that people will figure this out. You know, the gig will be up. They can't keep doing it. Okay, so that's where you see the fake outrage over Pharrell, you know, wearing the headdress. They don't want him wearing the headdress. You want to know why? Let me show you why. Let me show you Otis Nixon. Used to play baseball for the Braves, Atlanta Braves. They don't want him doing that because he looks exactly like the mascot. Right? Okay? They don't want you figuring it out. It's like it's been hidden right in your face for so long. They don't want you. It's just like when Superman puts on glasses, boom, he's Clark Kent. Nobody knows he's Superman, right? They don't want you to just look in the mirror and realize all you doing is wearing glasses, you still Superman. They don't want you doing that, right? So that's what the fake outrage is about. But it's all fake. And so nothing fake can last. It's all coming down. Okay? And that's what we're doing right now. That's why I'm sharing this with you. But back to this. So Young's there. He's in the Caribbean, St. Vincent, just basically going on a tear, declaring these people as Negroes, even though they're carrying on the customs, the language, they have the names, okay? All right? That means they're them. And he also relayed a great deal of hearsay information about how the Black Caribs had originated, which is without foundation for analysis here. The most important point is that a people thoroughly American in identity, culture, and language were called Black or Negro solely because of being mixed with African ancestry, and he put question mark. Okay, which even that is questionable. All right. The tendency continues incidentally among white scholars who today refuse to accept the Negroes' avowed feelings of Indianness, continue to call them black. In 1619, some 20 Negroes were brought to Virginia. At least 11 have names of Spanish or probably Spanish character. They were joined by Negroes and mulattoes with names such as Antonio, Don Pedro. The Spanish-derived servants could have well been part American ancestry. However, no evidence is available. Now, this one, check this one out. In 1676, one Gowan, an Indian servant, acquired his freedom in Virginia. 2 decades later, Mehill Gowan, called a Negro, also acquired his freedom. It would appear that the Negro was probably father to the Indian in this case, right? Okay? So you hear this, like, in 1676, you got this guy named Gowan who's listed as an Indian servant, and he acquired his freedom in Virginia. But 2 decades before that, a Negro named Mehill Gowan had also acquired his freedom. And he's saying that it appears that the Negro was probably father to the Indian, right? So things, you know, people were getting these statuses switched up, you know, all the time, even sometimes throughout that one person's life, right? All of these labels allude to slavery. Okay, so claiming the Indian status isn't going to really do anything for you. Okay? And I'm saying this to say, continuing to call yourself black, African American, definitely not going to do anything for you. And the reason why I shared all that was just to show that even though this act, because somebody might get smart and say, well, that's 1740. No, this stuff is still going on to this day. All right? And it carried weight. This wasn't just in South Carolina. This was occurring all over the place. All right? What was explained here, how your skin color, even though it was known, it was written in the dictionary that the American, you know, was the copper colored, all right? But now it applies to the Europeans, okay? And so this is saying that, hey, that copper color, that's evidence that you bear the mark of a slave, all right? It can't be used as evidence on the other side, right? Islam, okay? So this is true, this is real, and this is why you can't continue to go by this, okay? Even this whole African American status, this is something new that was just slapped on you in the 80s by, you know, they used Jesse Jackson to help spread that, you know, to spread that terminology, okay? He didn't come up with this. just like we didn't come up with it, right? It was something that was pushed on him. And one of the things too that I wanted to share too from this book, where you have these three noblemen on the cover, hopefully you can see that, right? And then if you look in the book, he gives the description about the three brothers on the cover. They're basically Peruvian noblemen, right? Okay, but one of the reasons why that in and of itself is so amazing, besides the fact that, you know, it makes no sense given the way that they teach history for people that look like this to be ruling, but these people were copper colored, right? When you go to that same area of Peru, okay, which is why we're Moors, all right? Okay, Garcilaso de la Vega, Cieza de Leon Acosta, and other writers on Peruvian customs and manners inform us that the fringe and tassel of the yantu, the royal headdress of the Incas, were made of fine crimson wool, right? So they were wearing a headdress that had a tassel, all right? And it was crimson, it was red, all right? They were wearing fezzes, and that was for the nobles, the royalty, you know, the Incan culture. These are the people who built Machu Picchu, okay? All right, and this was all throughout the Americas, okay? And one of the things that you'll see when you really look at history, even just looking from different, not just from Jack D. Forrest, but different writers on history, you'll see that the word Moor, Blackamoor, was used to describe the Indians all the time. Matter of fact, I'm going to give you an example right here. Hang on one second. Okay, and as you can see from the example that I was reading you earlier, Moor does not denote to slavery. The term Negro is confined to slave Africans, right? And then you see in a sense that they just need, you know, black is has origins in the black racial groups of Africa. No real people, no original people. Okay, so the term Negro is confined to slave Africans and their descendants. Sounds an awful lot like that census description to me. It does not embrace the free inhabitants of Africa, such as the Egyptians, Moors, or the Negro Asiatics, right? And what does the prophet say? We're Asiatics. We're Moors. Okay? Alright, so let me read some. If you have this book, Africans and Native Americans by Jackie Forbes, in chapter 3, Negro, Black, and Moor, the evolution of these terms is applied to Native Americans and others. Okay? In 1854, the California State Supreme Court sought to bar all non-Caucasians from equal citizenship and civil rights. The court stated, the word black may include all Negroes. Okay, so like, rewind real quick. Alright, that act, the Negro Law of South Carolina, remember I was saying, that didn't just apply to that one state. Okay, this is something that was occurring all over, and not just all over the United States, but, you know, this was happening in the Caribbean. This was happening in Central and South America as well. Okay, so in 1854, the California State Supreme Court sought to bar all non-Caucasians from equal citizenship and civil rights. The court stated, the word black may include all Negroes, but the term Negro does not include all black persons. We are of the opinion that the words white, Negro, mulatto, and black person, whenever they occur in our Constitution, must be taken in their generic sense. The words black person in the 14th section must be taken as distinguished from right, and necessarily includes all races other than the Caucasian, right? Okay, so there was a real broad, you know, sense for black. You know, everything, Indians, all of these were being considered black. And in 1854 in California, what do you think's going on? Okay, a whole lot of you in California, especially if your family didn't move there from the South, you know, because you had a lot of people from places like Mississippi and all this, like, people like Nate Dogg. I actually talked to Nate Dogg like way years ago. Way before he made the transition. He was from Mississippi, and I was living in Tennessee at the time, and that's something we could connect on, right? And that's where I'm just naming some famous people. This is who everybody knows. People like Snoop Dogg. All of them from Mississippi. But you got a lot of people out in Cali though, who are classified as African American now, but their family's been out there for a long time. They didn't come from Mississippi. Their family's been out there. Maybe on paper they can only go back to the 1900s or the 1800s, but they've been there for the longest, right? These people were classified as black. They were the indigenous Californians, okay? And hang on real quick. I'm going to read something to you about the term Moor. Alright. Okay, so the Portuguese, alright, he's going in and hearing how the Portuguese use the term Negro to apply to Americans, okay? And I've seen that myself from living in Brazil. How they, in the school books, they'll call the indigenous people Negros de Terra, right? Negroes of the land. Okay, insofar as the use of Negro or its equivalents for Americans is concerned, it's well to begin our analysis with a brief review of the Portuguese language. Okay, so in 1519, this was said of Brazilians. Alright, Brazilian canoemen he saw were so black that they could not have been taken for sailors on the Sea of Styx in hell. In 1524, the Carolina coast people were said to be of dark color, not much unlike the Ethiopians, with lighter colored people farther north. That's okay. So that's actually in the Caribbean. But back to Brazil, Jesuit missionaries in Brazil from 1549 to 1565 frequently referred to the Americans as Negroes, as well as using terms such as gentiles, pagans, Brasis, and other forms of Brazilian, and Indios, right? So they'll call them Indios, they'll call them Negroes, like interchangeably, right? In 1549, Manuel da Nobrega, the leader of the Jesuits, addressed in a letter from Bahia, which is a state in Brazil, to Samuel Rodrigues in Lisbon, which is the capital of Portugal. He refers to the Portuguese in Brazil as living in sin because of their having many negros and lots of children by said black women. And when he's talking about the negros, he's talking about the indigenous. He says, negras, isto é mulheres índias. These Negroes are the indigenous women. Okay? Negras, nem negros de África. Ainda os negros havia na Bahia. So he's saying that these Negroes are not from Africa. They are from right here in Bahia. Okay? Alright. And then a few lines later, he says, Indios desta terra. Okay? So he's saying these are the Indians of the land. He called the American women living with Portuguese men negras. Alright? And that's what I was saying earlier, right? So, and this was being done all over the place. And trying to give you an example of them also being referred to as Moors here. Well, in here, hang on. A black Moor, Moro, Mora, Osnathras, the Ethiopia. Hang on a second. Can't find my, I had something for you. Okay, Puerto Rico, there are 15,000 Negroes and less than 500 Spaniards. And in all the island of Hispaniola, there may be 2,000 Spaniards. There are over 30,000 Negroes. Now listen, this is really important because it's saying in Puerto Rico, you got 15,000 Negroes and less than 500 Spaniards. First off, how the hell did they rule over them? But second off, 15,000? They didn't bring them from Africa. You're not going to have, like, logistically, like that just makes no sense. You know, especially when you're at war. You're not going to have 500 Spaniards and 15,000 Negroes from Africa. Those were the Taíno. Those were the Boricuas. Okay? And they classified them as Negroes. And then Hispaniola, that's Dominican Republic / Haiti, right? That's the old name for it. There may be 2,000 Spaniards. There's over 30,000 Negroes. Those are the indigenous, okay? On the coast of Venezuela, there are 20 Negroes to 1 white man, all right? And this is why it's so important to classify these people as Negroes. They created something, okay? You're outnumbered. They created a permanent slave status. And there's a reason for these people not to be tied to the land anymore, okay? And they're shipping them to different places, shipping them off. And this is how it occurred, okay? Removing the land rights. Hang on one. The term Morin continued to be used for non-whites. M. Hemesem's diaries, 1639-1645, utilized Morin for both Africans and the Tapuia of Brazil, who were called wild Morin, right? And so you know Morin, that's a term for Moor in German, okay? Let's see. Since Moor and Morin had also been used for Americans, and this is from Antwerp, 1563 in Brazil in the 1540s, we can see a pattern where both Moor and Swart were flexible enough to embrace a broad range of dark to dark brown peoples, okay? So the term Moor, you know, is something that they use, but we can also see why Moor actually ties us into the land, okay? Why? Our prophet, okay, tied us in to pre-European colonization, all right? We already understand that the empire extended over here, North, South, Central America, and the adjoining islands. It's going back before, you know, before even the Atlantic Ocean was in its present status, okay? And this is the perspective that we would be coming from as Moors. And if you're coming from that perspective, then when you see things like the royal classes of the Inca wearing fezzes, you know, with the tassel, a red crown basically, royal headdress, which they call the yantu. When you see this, it's not shocking. Now you can understand. It makes sense, right? And what you'll see, you know, is that this is occurring all throughout the Americas, and even to other portions, other places like in the Pacific Islands, right? How many times have you seen the Easter Island heads, right? We used to see them all the time, but I never saw the headdress. I didn't know that they had a headdress on, right? Matter of fact, I didn't even start seeing these pictures of them with these red headdresses until like maybe 6 years ago, right? You didn't see that stuff at all, okay? You didn't see it at all. I don't know where it was hiding, but you saw the Easter Island heads, and you saw the ones that didn't have any headdress on at all, just bald-headed, right? We didn't see these. These just started coming out, right? Not that they just got made, it's just that they were being hidden. Why? Because everybody couldn't go to Easter Island. Everybody couldn't go to the Galapagos Islands, you know? We're coming to find out this stuff is all throughout the Americas, in the Pacific Ocean, all the way out to the Philippines, okay? The Moors got around, and there's no denying this. And this is why it's not just a case of the Europeans referring to the indigenous here as Moors, because that's what they were dealing with in Europe, okay? They're actually coming over here with people of Moorish descent who could speak Arabic, who could speak Aramaic, and they're able to communicate with the indigenous here, okay? People that can speak Hebrew, people that can speak, you know, Arabic are able to communicate with the indigenous tribes here, okay? All right, so the Moorish Empire is far more vast than anything that we understand. And this is also why, like I was saying before, why you get the fake outrage. They don't want people like if you follow baseball, this guy, he used to play back in the days, and I always used to see him when I was a kid and think like, man, he looks like an Indian. Even though they were telling us that these are not what Indians look like. Just, you know, the innocence of a child, you know, can see the truth. It's like, you know, it was just common sense to me. He just happened to play for the Braves. He just happened to play for the Cleveland Indians, and he just happened to look just like the mascot. You know, it just seemed like common sense, right? Just like this brother is an Indian, okay, and he looks exactly like the mascot. It's like they did not want you to put two and two together, okay? And that's where the fake outrage is coming from. Okay, so I'm not trying to slap the Indian label on anyone. It's just the truth. We are the indigenous. Everyone knows it. Okay? Even the ones who's in denial about it because they don't want us to know. They know. It's obvious. And that's why, like I was saying earlier, you get the fake outrage about, you know, the people from the islands, okay, from New Orleans, Trinidad, celebrating Carnival. It's fake. Why? Because they don't want you to put two and two together. It's like, come on. This and this, these are one and the same. Alright? And we've been doing this forever. They don't want you to realize that. That's obvious. The whole world can see it. Okay? And even though we've been conditioned not to see it, it's obvious. Alright? So, this is basically, you know, just hitting on it. There's another video on here that goes in a little deeper on this topic. You can check that out. And also you can check out this article so that you can go and get the sources where this information is coming from. Alright, and better understand it. There's another video on here too as well that talks about a slip up that occurred on CNN where a professor had actually called blacks slaves live on CNN. Okay? And he was also talking about the Dred Scott case. Okay? So it was a very interesting thing that occurred live on CNN, and he tried to fix it really quick, but, you know, he slipped up and did it. Okay? So, look, you can't just say this just occurred in one state.